time to join our conference. I will immediately start, and I think I must say a few words before we go into technology and whatever we did about the summary of 2020 for OpenLM. So we didn't get to our goals. It wasn't a great year, but still we managed to get almost 100 new customers. So we are now over 1,000 customers worldwide. We invested a lot in development, and we have a lot more developers now, 15% more. And we developed a huge amount of code. Most of it you didn't see yet, but it's coming, and it's coming now. And we wouldn't do that without you. So I would like to thank you, everyone, for choosing OpenLM, and thank you for your loyalty to us. So I would like to start with our new cloud infrastructure. So we announced it in the beginning of the year, and it's already running and operating and serving customer. It's a fully redundant architecture, so completely safe. You can put your data there, and we are not limited in the number of customers we can serve. It's very capable and scalable. We can serve any number of customers. Performance is very high, and we implement it in a way there is a private database per customer, which is unique. We also invested and investing in a completely new user interface for the system as a whole, and specifically to the cloud interface. The screen you see now, after we flashed a few other, is the login screen to the cloud, which is actually our gateway to the new identity server, which service that I will introduce now. So one of the main requests, mainly bigger customers that we have, was to improve the security of the system. So bring it to the current level of high-end product that provide the highest level of authentication, authorization, and so on. Until now, we had, and still many of you are using the internal implementation we created. It's very good, actually. It's working very well for many of our customers. But we decided to upgrade, and now we have implemented the industry standard called OAuth 2.0. It's an authorization protocol. Above it, there is an implementation of also of authentication. It's called OpenID, and this is a service now. So it's a separate service, providing services to providing this service to all other components of OpenLM. So now OpenLM doesn't have any authentication. It's just a client of the identity service, and let's see how it works. So until now, we had the client. Client in that case is EasyAdmin, but can be any other client that we have, and it will authenticate directly to the OpenLM server. Now we have a different flow, so it goes to the identity server, authenticate, it's getting a token, and using this token, it goes to the server, which in that case, OpenLM server, but we have many servers, and it will get the service. So this makes OpenLM very secured, and so you can definitely start using the cloud, and it comes also to the on-prem soon. Linux is a very important step for OpenLM. When we discussed this on the cloud, so you might ask, why do I care? What is on the other side? which server is giving me service, but it is important because this architecture is giving us a lot more performance from about approximately the same hardware, which is hard to compare because we're using a different architecture, but it's giving more performance and it's easier to manage. And it's also much cheaper for us, and we can roll this costs to you, which is very important. I will speak about how we bring it to you, to the on-premise installations. Now, the cloud will always run the newest version of OpenLM. So currently it's running version 6, not the first version of 6, or we already did few updates and you didn't even notice, I assume, which is good. That's the whole idea. We have from now on a cloud first policy. So everything we do on the cloud, we have full control, we know what's going on. And only after that, we will take it to the on-prem version, which is much harder to maintain and to take care of. That's why it's better to have everything first on the cloud, where we have full control. As a cloud customer, it reduces the maintenance and the amount of work that our customer needs to do ongoing to the minimum. So what's this minimum? So most important thing is the brokers. So the brokers are our agents on the license server, and this is what collects the data and allows us to control and perform different actions on the license server. And this is why you need to install it. We have a very easy installation process where you set it, authenticate it on the server. So we worked hard on this. It's very easy. So this is a mandatory agent in most cases. Second is the directory synchronization. So if you wish to synchronize your directory with OpenLM, what is true for most of our big customer, then in some cases, you need the agent to install it closer to the domain controller where your directory is. And this is a second agent you need to install. Again, it's the same installation process, the same authentication process, which is, we worked hard on this to make it easy. And the last thing, which is not available yet, but will become available soon, is the OpenLM agent. So we are also working on that now. It will become available soon, and this is something you will need to install locally. What's the limitation of the current release of the cloud, and what's the release schedule, which is important? So the end user agent is under development. It's the end user agent that will work on the cloud is only version 6. So this is a completely new agent with a new approach. It will work on multiple platforms, so not only on Windows, and it will have a lot of new capabilities. It's not yet available, coming soon, Q2. Second extension that is really needed by many customers, and when we offer them to move to the cloud now, they say, no, report scheduler is a must. So this is also on the doing now. It might be even available sooner. And the last one is the role-based security, or capability to set a set of permission for a role and assign this role to different users, group of users, and individual users. It's very important for many of our customers, and everything will be available on the second quarter. So the next question is, can I migrate to the cloud? So the questions are, if you use one of the unsupported functionality, you will have to wait for quarter 2. you are on closed network, yeah, that's impossible. Keep using on-premise. And all other, yes, it's definitely a good idea. It will significantly reduce the amount of time you need to spend on maintaining the system. We're doing that anyway. We have our people, we have full control, we have a monitoring system for the whole cloud. So it's a great value, and I think you should do it once possible. So let's close the cloud and move to the on-premise installation. Mainly, I'm talking about version 6. So version 6 on-premise is planned to be released by the end of this quarter, Q1. And for us, it's a revolutionary release. We are very excited about it. It's multi-platform. It will run on your Windows server, Linux server, even other platform, which we're not testing now, but should work because we developed everything using .NET Core, and it runs on many, many different platforms. We're saying goodbye to our favorite database, Firebird. We started using it 13 years ago. We packed it with OpenLM, and it served many of our customers for many years. Now it's not, this project is not fully maintained. There are security problems, and we decided that it's time to say goodbye. So starting version 6 won't support at all. We won't include the library, so it will be impossible to use Firebird. We also changed the architecture, so there is no light EPD, if you remember this web server, no PHP, so its architecture is very clean and the product is much better and faster. So just look on this picture. So our PC from 20 years ago, and for the ones of you that may recognize this screen, is Norton Commander. So why do I show this to you? Just to get you into the spirit of this slide. So this is currently the database configuration interface. If you go on OpenLM on Windows, you open it, that's the interface. Now we face the question, what are we doing next? So now we need to support multiple platforms, Windows, Linux, whatever comes next. So we decided let's go for the lowest denominator. So whatever works everywhere. So it's mainly command line, because if we support Windows Server and we support terminal-based Linux, then we need something that works on command line. So that's what we came out with. It might remind you applications from 20, 30 years ago. It actually works very well. You can choose the database, you can put the data, test the connectivity, get connection string, fix something if as needed. We are getting mixed emotions about this. So this is why we are going to send you a quick survey and ask you about that. So if you don't like it, we'll do something else. So please take a minute just to click on the survey and let us know what do you think. In any case, it works. It works on a complete Linux terminal. You can configure everything and it works very well. Next, OpenLM on Linux. For me personally, it's a dream. I really wanted to see that working, and I'm excited every day we see another thing working. So we are currently testing it and bringing it to work. It's going to be available as RPM package. So you can just click, install it. It will install all the dependencies for you, hopefully. Configuration is done using different command line tool. One of them you have seen. This is the database configuration. You might have other configuration tools like to connect to the identity server and so on, get the license. We will find the right way with your feedback to see what you like. Basically, you can install it on a terminal, no GUI, nothing. Just you open the terminal, type the command, you complete the installation of OpenLM, and then you just go to the interface running on the browser. So it's not a single server that you install. We will install multiple services. They are talking with each other. The system became much bigger, but the environment, this Linux environment, fits it very well. So how would you upgrade to this version? It's a bit more complex because there are two stages, and the identity setup, it's something you need to understand. We'll definitely have few sessions to show you how to do it, to explain everyone. We'll create videos, so it will be clear, but it's a concept you need to understand. On the other hand, it will work for any system that's using this identity level, so it's very important to know. So how does it work? So you can be in any version, and in order to migrate to version 6, you need to go through version 5.6 in case you're still using Firebird. So if you're not using Firebird, then you go to version 5.6. It's like you just go through it and you immediately go to version 6. It's simple, nothing really happens. If you use Firebird, we will provide a fully automatic utility that will take your Firebird database and convert it to a MariaDB database. It's fully automatic. You don't need to do anything. If something goes wrong, then no problem. You still have your Firebird. It's all working. We didn't do anything. If it's successful, you have a new system, version 5.6, using MariaDB. Next stage, you migrate to version 6 that will be available on Q2, I hope in the very beginning of Q2. By the end of Q1, let's say, let's be optimistic. With version 6, you will need to upgrade the brokers, but you won't need to upgrade the agent. You're using the agent, no problem. Keep using the existing agent until we will require that. For now, you can use the same agent. So now I'm sure that at least few of you are very excited to see it working. And yeah, you have the opportunity. So we are looking for people that would like to get access to early version, test it. Doesn't have to be Linux, can be Windows, can be any environment you want. We're really looking for that. So just drop a line to sales and you're in. And we're looking forward to do that with you. It's a very exciting process to see that evolving. So next, I would like to shortly mention, I'm not sure about my timing now, but I like to shortly mention the change we did with the active agent licensing. So until version 5.4, we licensed the active agent functionality, which is, just to remind you, license harvesting, the ability to save a project, close it, release the license back to the license pool. We support 4 different methods to measure actual usage, to know whether a user is actually using the application and for how long, and so on. All these functionality, we call it active agent functionality, and it was licensed by named licensing until version 5.4. But named licensing is not OpenLM. OpenLM is the engineering licensing company. We do network licenses. And it only makes sense that we also license our functionality using name licensing. And we chose the reusable token model. So it's the customer best model in the network licensing arena. And basically each action, each feature consume a number of tokens. It doesn't consume the specific feature license, a number of tokens. And with OpenLM, these tokens are automatically released back to the license pool when you're not using it. So as we say, it's like a currency, and for each feature you consume a token, a number of tokens. What's the benefit? The benefit is if you are not using MATLAB save and close anymore, you can use it for ArcGIS or something completely else. So that's a huge benefit for you as a customer. And of course, like network licenses, you can use it over time. We don't limit territory, it's global licenses. You can use it for multiple licenses, so completely free as you like. Not free, completely flexible, let's say. So this is the reusable token model. It's actually working in version 5.5. So if you download and install version and upgrade to version 5.5, it will also tell you, okay, you need a new license file, and sales, you talk with sales, you get a new license file, and it will already include the token. If you are not using the active agent functionality, that's a great opportunity. If you contact sales, they will be happy to give you some tokens to try this functionality to see how it works. Next, license harvesting. So for many years, we only supported about 5 applications for save and close, just because we didn't have the capacity to develop it, not because customers didn't request it. But now we have the capacity and we have the technology, we know how to do it. And in version 5.5, we supported 3 new applications, which is a lot because until now we supported 5 for many years. These are all applications from a company called IHS Market. It's dedicated for the oil industry, so very specific. But we are open for requests. So anything you need, let us know, and we are open to doing it. What we're working on today is CATIA. Customers requested it, and we will start in about 2 weeks. Hopefully it will be ready very soon for now. And this is an invitation for you to let us know what you need. Next is supporting new license managers. So we have a whole talk about that from Rostislav, but I just want to note that until now we didn't do a lot. Now we are doing it very quickly. We have a dedicated team of professionals. They can address anything you need. Just let us know. So this is important. And also, when we say cloud license manager, we also talk about cloud license manager. So as your engineering provider is moving to the cloud, we are going there with you, and we are here to do anything possible to help you to stretch your licenses to their limits. That's why we are here. And last, I would like to say that Noah will send you the link to the server. Please give us the feedback so we know what is important for you. And thank you very much for your time.
Thank you, Oren, very much. The server is already in the chat. Guys, you are welcome. Please answer it. It takes less than 3 minutes. Okay. And sorry for the technical problems I had before. I hope now everything will be better. So thank you very much, Oren. And next coming up is Branislav Potocek, our VP Services, who's going to talk about the new outstanding policy for our services. Branislav? Branislav, you're muted.
I'm unmuting myself, sharing my screen, and we should be good to go. Can you hear me and can you see my screen then?
Yeah, very well.
Okay, so hello everybody, and let me welcome you again to the OpenLM's Users Conference. Thank you, Oren, for shedding light on what we are working on the software development front, on how version 6, will be bigger and better for everybody. And let me shed some light on what we are preparing on the services front. But I guess the introduction first. So my name is Branislav Potocek, and I'm currently leading OpenLM support and professional services. Some of you may have already met me in October 2020 when we did OpenLM did the engineering license conference, where I talked about software asset management and how it affects overall managing software in the company and managing engineering applications as well. I do hope that you will enjoy this presentation, and I'm really looking forward to your feedback. So OpenLM and our road to professional services. Maybe you have already guessed it, deduced it from the headline in the presentation that I will be talking about how OpenLM as a company is working hard to transform us from being just the software producer and manufacturer to a provider of software as a service, or providing managed service for the software. Before I dive into the how are we going to do it, I would like to talk a little bit about why. Why do we feel that this is something that could be beneficial and productive to both you as our customers and to ourselves as well? So the key topics for today are the Big Bang of Knowledge, the rise of outsourcing and managed service, professional services for OpenLM, and software asset management for engineering applications. The Big Bang of Knowledge. What do I mean by this? I don't mean to talk about all the big bangs exploding around the world with the current situation, with the crisis that's going on, but about something completely different. So I hope you did not misunderstand me about that. I really want to talk about the growth of our civilization over the course of last 500 years, how our civilization is expanding, exploring, and how our knowledge base and information capacity is just growing exponentially. And it will be important to hear why. So the growth of technology has really been going at a crazy exponential rate. It's increasing on a day-by-day basis, and really there is no sign of this stopping anytime soon. Hand in hand with the growth of the technology, the amount of available information is growing as well. Just if you look at what happened over the course of the last 70 years, from the beginning of the widespread use of transistors in the 1950s to the rise of the personal computer in the 1980s, to what we have now, the digital age. If you look at the graph that I'm showcasing here and stop and think about it a little bit, what happened from 1400s to 1600s, 200 years between the invention of printed press to the invention of telescope. Another 150 years from the invention of telescope to the invention of the steam engine, which just started the whole industrial revolution. That's 350 years for three key pieces in humanity's history. And then you look at the other side, at the right side of the graph, and you see barely several decades passing between the invention of the microchip and what the current technology is, today's smartphones, which are magnitudes order better in capacity, more powerful than computers maybe 10, 15 years ago. You're basically carrying in your pocket something that's more powerful than 10-kilogram computer was 15 years back. So why does my header here read that knowledge is power? Because I do really believe that knowledge is power. However, what's the however about? Well, it's precisely about the amount of available information that's has increased over the years. One more graph, and this is the last graph for tonight because I'm not really a graph person and I don't want to burden you with more graphs, is look at how the capacity of the world to store information has risen over the last 25 years. It's really, really hard to actually wrap one's head around these numbers. But what does all of this means? Like, are we supposed to learn this information? Where am I going with this? The answer is simple. It is not possible anymore for us to be experts in everything, to learn everything. We can try and specialize ourselves, keep a portion of the general knowledge, learn how to search for the information. A little bit of an anecdote when speaking about the jack of all trades. I'm pretty sure that each of you can have the image of the IT guy from the 1980s, wearing the white coat, having the punch card sticking out of his pockets. A time where 1 megabyte worth of data was about as heavy as a brick. And the IT person could be the jack of all trades. He could be the expert in everything. He could maintain the hardware. He could repair the hardware. He could code and write programs in the first programming languages like Assembler or Pascal. He could do graphic design, etc. This is no longer possible in today's world, not by a long shot. There is an ever-increasing demand and requirement to become more specialized to actually keep up with our respective fields to remain competitive. So, where does this actually lead us to? You probably guessed the buzzword, and that's outsourcing or managed service. I think these terms are pretty interchangeable in many cases. Pick whichever you prefer. I do know that there is a lot of stigma tied to managed services or outsourcing within the various businesses. And this is, honestly, let's face it, in many cases, the managed service or the outsourcing is not done right. It's in many cases down to cut cost at an alarming rate. And it can be detrimental to both business and the employees. But managed service or outsourcing is a tool. And as a tool, it can also be used in the right way. And let me elaborate a little bit on that. So why is managed service a buzzword in the past few years? Well, precisely because of what I actually spoke about in the first portion of my presentation, and that's the increase in knowledge, in what we can actually learn. Businesses are changing on a daily basis. Companies, departments, teams are being required to be agile, flexible, to accommodate the ever-shifting daily demands of their work. On top of that, the employees are required to keep with all the current trends in the field they work with, and many times they are even asked to take on another responsibilities that require further learning into sometimes completely unrelated topics. This is not something, that can be kept going forever, and there is a certain cutoff point where it actually becomes detrimental to business and detrimental to success. The result, in many cases, is a job that's not finished, it's half done, the project is not delivered on time, a solution doesn't work, only creates a further strain on everybody involved. But can anything be done about it? And yes, I do believe it can. And this is the case where I think a managed service or an outsourcing can be done in a correct way to actually be successful, to be helpful. And this is to engage external professionals to provide on-demand expertise, especially in circumstances where such expertise is not required permanently, but rather only in certain specific cases. So for OpenLM, what is actually our idea for services? We know that we already have a great tool on the market, and it's being worked and expanded periodically. And Oren, in his presentation, went actually into a little bit of detail or where OpenLM as a software is heading in the coming months and the long term as well. The development team is working hard to develop new features, expand the portfolio of license managers, which my colleague Rostislav will actually expand upon in his presentation. We are trying to add additional options for license harvesting, like you saw, working now on CATIA, etc. I would dare to say that OpenLM's engineers are some of the most knowledgeable people when it comes to our tool. And don't get me wrong, they are knowledgeable in other fields as well. But primarily in this topic, it's all tied to the tool. So as such, I believe they are also the most qualified to provide services for OpenLM. And now we really do feel that it's time to go out there, to bring this to the open, to talk to you, our customers, see how could we help you alleviate the day-to-day hurdles that you may have managing our software. And this is the primary reason that we are trying to transform from a strictly software development to a provider of services for our software. Next, maybe you are asking yourself this question, so how are we going to do it? And it would be my pleasure to guide you through the journey that we are planning to undertake, and I really do hope that you will join us and be satisfied with what we are trying to offer here. So, professional services for OpenLM. First, let me present the motto or mantra, if you will, that I want to be the defining trait of OpenLM's professional services, and that is do it right the first time. we understand that the most important portion of professional services is the delivery, and we want to make sure that you actually get what you sign up for. A little bit of overview, or sort of a timeline, if you will. The idea is to start doing the managed service, to offer professional services in multiple phases, as you can see in the timeline below. And there are no dates on purpose in this slide. There will be some dates in the slides that are coming up. For now, the plan is to do this in 3 phases. Phase 1 is tied directly to OpenLM as a software, OpenLM's product, the primarily server product and all its extensions. In phase 2, we would like to expand and cover management of license servers and license managers. In phase 3, we actually hope to achieve a full-on software asset management consultancy for engineering applications. We do know that the possibilities for providing services are practically limitless. So for phase 4, we would like to hear your feedback. What you may require, please go ahead and tell us. Really, if you don't see something in the presentation, but you really feel that OpenLM and our team members could be there providing something to you as a service, don't hesitate, ask us. We are very open-minded about this. So what can you actually expect in phase 1? We do know internally that OpenLM as a product has gotten more complicated over the years. We have added multiple modules, extensions. In fact, one of the extensions, the Active Directory synchronization, is actually being developed to become a product of its own. And it's becoming progressively harder to maintain the installation on premise. This is, by the way, of course, one of the reasons we are actually trying to push cloud solution as well. So though we do try to support you as best as we can, and we try to provide a huge selection of knowledge base articles and guidelines, we know that it's really getting harder to maintain the software. Here, we do believe that our engineers, who are already the most proficient users and administrators of the tool, could be a great asset to you, our customers, to give you more, make your life easier. Maybe allow you to refocus the resources internally allocated to maintaining OpenLM to do some other tasks. So what does phase 1 cover in detail? We have split it into 5 different categories, covering installations, configurations, upgrades, reporting front end, and reporting hub. As you probably experienced with our pre-sales and sales presentations, we do offer quite substantial investment into making our customers happy and making the product work like straight away. But you may need something more. So whether you're looking for a one-time deployment of 10 brokers or 10 agents because you just expanded your license servers portfolio, or you just have gotten several new license managers, you're deploying new applications within your environment, or maybe you want to take us over OpenLM completely on your premises and do all the management, all the upgrades, remote configurations, set up reporting for you, we can cover it. So come to us, tell us what you need. We are very flexible. Like I said, we are trying to be very, very open-minded about this. So when can you ask for this? Pretty soon. For phase 1, we plan to launch it on 8th of March, and you are welcome to contact our sales department to find out more. Next. What about the future? What else is there? I talked about multiple phases. I'm coming from a background of a license administrator and also administrating OpenLM among other duties that I had in the past in the automotive business. And what I came to realize during my day-to-day job was that the technical skill sets actually between administrating OpenLM, administrating the brokers, adding the license managers, and administrating the licenses themselves, the jump or the difference between the technical skill set, it's pretty small. So if you are somebody who's already proficient with OpenLM brokers, you understand how they function, you are not really that far away from managing the license managers themselves. This is where the idea was born to start expanding the options for managed service that could be provided by OpenLM. Our support engineers are gathering more and more expertise on a daily basis, both through training and through practice. And we believe, again, that they may be able to help you to alleviate some of the difficulties that you face when managing your licenses portfolio, especially since managing the engineering licenses is really a specific task. Sometimes it does not require constant continuous presence, but it's rather a lot of on-demand work. I'm oh, I'm sorry. I'm certain that if you do this type of job at your company, you know there are periods during the year when everything is working, you have enrolled all the latest license keys, there is no expirations coming, all your servers are configured as clusters, there is nothing down, so there is really not much to do. And then suddenly an issue pops up, you know, a server goes down, license manager stops working. You need a quick on-demand expertise, you need a quick analytical thinking to resolve this issue. And we believe that this is where we could, you know, come in and actually help you. We want to offer the experience that we've built throughout the years of supporting our customers and offer the full-on remote license management. Just a disclaimer, because I only talked about the technical jump from managing OpenLM and managing license managers, and that was done on purpose. Don't think I treat this matter lightly. I do understand that the jump in responsibility it's really huge, because, you know, making OpenLM not work or screwing something remotely on the configuration, that's one thing. Making a license manager not working and cutting off an entire application, it's completely other issue. But we are very well aware of this, and we are working hard to actually deliver on this. So phase 3, there is a little bit more, and this is something, this is one of our long-term goals, but I really want to introduce it here and prepare you, because it's something that I personally I'm very keen on doing, because I've already been doing that in my previous job, and I think there is a lot of potential with this. So I would like to introduce you to the term software asset management for engineering applications. And I believe there's been a lot of talk going on internally on how to best phrase this. What is it that we actually want to do, how to promote this? So what's this all about? I think most of you are familiar with the term software asset management. That's been the buzzword going on for several years. And even though, you know, it dates way back, it has never been as prominent as it is now. And the key SAM providers are focusing on the big players, Microsoft, IBM, Oracle, you know, VMware. We do know, though, that the engineering licenses are also key money spenders for corporations, specifically when we again talk about the big players in engineering, Siemens, Dassault, Petrol, Autodesk. As such, it is important to not overlook the engineering licenses. So, software asset management for engineering. OpenLM already has a tool that's specifically tailored to manage, monitor, and provide utilization of engineering applications. And we are here and we would like to take it one step further. From experience, I can tell you that a good software asset manager will always look and analyze all of the key software spenders. Even though in many cases, some solutions focus more on looking at compliance risk for the standard true-up contracts, like Microsoft again, there are compliance issues that exist for engineering applications as well, and we would like to tackle these. So whether we are talking about usage scope infringement due to users not abiding by the regional limitations, or duplicate license infringement due to migrating the license servers, not decommissioning the old keys, these are real practical examples where software asset management can help. And as I talked about this in my October's engineering software asset management panel, it's always better to be proactive, to be prepared, than having to react to a software audit and not having any data ready. Plus, there is the additional benefit which ties to software asset management overall, and that's cost-saving opportunities, which again are equally valid for engineering applications, and OpenLM is already tailored to help identify these. So, what are we looking to offer? Enough theory, you know, what will be on the menu? Full-on software asset management for engineering applications, starting with the deployment of the tool for existing customers. You know, this is already a moot point. Moving on to remote management of OpenLM, remote administration of the licenses, on-demand or periodical reporting, or demand or periodical creation of effective license positions, detailing the usage of chosen vendors, analyzing the data, pinpointing compliance issues, marking problematic denials, and offering insights on cost reductions. Phase 3 for us, it's a long-term goal that we would like to achieve. We understand how important it is to deliver it properly, so we are taking our time here. My quick estimate would be that we could start offering this in early 2022. So I really do hope that you found my presentation interesting and informative. I tried to cover a lot of topics. If you feel that I have missed something, there is any specific thing that you may be interested in, some specific requirement that you have, please don't hesitate to ask. You know, either contact our sales team or contact me directly. Everything works. Thank you very much for listening, and I'm really looking forward to be working with you.
Thank you very, very much, Branislav. Guys, if you have any questions, please use the chat to ask the questions, and Branislav will be able to answer if you want. If not, okay, so our next presentation is from our guests from Servicenow, Volker and Evan. They will be displaying the integration with Servicenow. Guys, are you here, Evan? Volker?
We'll do it. No, again.
Great.
Volker.
Yes, Volker, please share your screen.
I do. Okay, so I hope you can see my screen.
Yeah, we can.
Good. Okay, so yes, good evening, everybody, or good afternoon, wherever you are. My name is Volker Ronch. I'm a senior advisory solution consultant for IT asset management in Servicenow, and I'd like to talk today about Servicenow software asset management solution and, of course, the integration with OpenLM, because OpenLM is our host today, and OpenLM is a real value driver here in this scenario also, and what we'll see today. So, yeah, just our mandatory safe harbor slide. Brief introduction, why tech investments go to waste, or where we see big challenges when it comes to software asset management or IT asset management in general. We very often see organizations, companies that have silo tools, that have manual processes, that do not really have full cost visibility. People who are reacting rather when things happen, when it's nearly too late, or it is already too late, instead of being proactive and being informed all the time and seeing things happening in the near future. Yes, and of course also disconnected silo teams who are working on different aspects of software asset management and not really are being able to bring all the data that's relevant together. So this disconnect and this lack of having full visibility and having all the cost and all the processes in focus really leads to inefficiency and, in the end, waste. Yes. So in Servicenow, we have the approach to have this single platform, this central CMDB or central database with all the process automation, workflow automation capabilities that are around the whole software life cycle that we'll see today. So we do not want to only take a look or have only in focus the old-fashioned SAM approach, where you compare what have I bought with what I have installed, what's my license position, but rather start from the beginning of a life cycle of such a software asset when it comes to the request and the purchasing of software assets. So users go to a service portal and request resources, software licenses from a catalog, and then of course you will have fulfillers that will check, are there enough licenses, do we need to purchase additional licenses, what's the stock of licenses. Yeah, and then in the next phase also deploy such software automatically to end users without having them to wait very long for the provisioning for the deployment of such software. Yes, and also in the monitoring phase, being able to have all these deployed assets in scope and being able to know where they are, see if there are vulnerabilities, and really being able to monitor them throughout their life cycle. Yes, and also in the servicing phase, when it comes to updating assets that are impacted during an IT problem or have an incident, being able to automate all the related processes and workflows there and keeping users informed. And in the end, some then also retiring assets that have come to their end of life because the support is not available anymore, or they simply are not compatible anymore with a new operating system or things like that. So in the retirement phase, also automating things and being aware of replacement capabilities. So a new version or an alternative as a product. So this approach of having this whole life cycle in focus is really the key value that we see in the real software asset management, where we really see this whole life cycle as the driver. Of course, OpenLM and Servicenow make the whole SAM, software asset management, even better or better together. We have found that OpenLM has a very good solution. They are market leader in their space with engineering applications. And since we were missing the functionality of managing such licenses, we didn't want to reinvent the wheel, but we rather have talked to OpenLM, and we have a strong partnership now because we think really this is the best of breed solution in that area. And then we have integrated OpenLM with its core capabilities into Servicenow and enriched the capabilities by adding software entitlements and contracts and giving our report capabilities as an additional value here, and being able again to automate exactly those processes that we have seen in the slide before. So it's added value in the end. On the one hand side, really the very strong capabilities that OpenLM does when it comes to managing license servers, measuring the usage of such licenses or the related features, measuring denials, and then Servicenow putting the entitlements into the context of such licenses, normalizing data and reporting against such data under the aspect of costs, of trends, of compliance, etc. So this is where we really play very nicely together. How does software asset management work on the Servicenow platform? What we do in the first step is we bring together the purchasing information with the inventory information. And typically these different types of data that need to be joined in order to calculate license consumption and license position. These types of data come from different data sources. So you see procurement systems here, you see spreadsheets, you see APIs for software as a service subscriptions as an example, as data sources for purchases. And then when it comes to the inventory data, what's installed out there, Servicenow Discovery could be one in the data center as a data source. Third-party inventory or data sources also like OpenLM, who will give us inventory data and usage data, or third-party data sources again. And these types of data are typically in a raw format that's not very easy to digest, to understand. So you see this purchase information comes with the publisher part number that is not very easy to translate, to understand. Yes, so it's just a encrypted number in this case. I know it's a project, as it seems here, a project license, but I do not really know what license rights do I have, what use rights do I have. So this is encrypted, so to say, in the part number. And then on the other hand, the raw inventory data in different naming conventions, different versions that come in for the same product, as you can see here. And here at this point in time, we bring our content service into the game, which has a very, very broad coverage for normalization capabilities of purchase data with such publisher part numbers, and then also the inventory data. So this content service, that is the one of the core parts of Servicenow SAM, normalizes that data and tells you, look, this is Microsoft Project 2016 Professional. The license metric is per device based on that publisher part number that we have in the entitlement in the purchase. And we also enrich data regarding life cycle. So we also tell you, look, this is end of support, has been end of support 2019 because it's project 2016, so pretty old version, and end of life in 2020, yes. And also we add the information about the functionality of that software. So in this case, we tell you it's project management. This is relevant when it comes to portfolio management, when it comes to reporting for overlapping software, because you do not want to manage too many different titles serving the same functionality. Yeah. So this is all data that's provided by the content service. So normalization and data enrichment is one core functionality here, which makes it very powerful. And then in the next step, we calculate your license position, your compliance position. We will tell you, look, you have 120 licenses purchased, you have 134 installations, which means you have purchased 14 licenses. You're missing 14 licenses here, so do not have enough licenses, which will result in this calculated true-up cost based on the cost that you have provided with the purchase information. And then the next step, really powerful, workflows, automation capabilities. We will turn this information into workflows by telling you, you can identify low usage installations. You can automatically reclaim or relocate such licenses by uninstalling licenses and then using them on other computers that, or for other users that really need that software because they want to use the software. Yes, and those are automation capabilities, and we also show you saving capabilities here in order to really manage your spend efficiently, mitigate publisher audit risk. That's another outcome, and also optimize the software and SaaS spend. Yes, so these are typical outcomes, or the most important outcomes. But back to step 2, where we talk about content service. The data that is normalized with the content service is also used in other areas within Servicenow. So we use it, for example, in the IT business management when it comes to portfolio management and lifecycle data. So when we have titles that are nearing end of life or end of support, we know that there needs to be done something in the portfolio, and the related business applications need to be considered. Is there another version that can replace an end-of-life version, or do we need to replace a complete software? And this is a completely different stream, but data from SAM and the content service is relevant here. The same applies to IT service management, license change projection. Imagine you plan a hardware change where you want to modify a server's hardware because it does not perform very well anymore. And this typically has direct effects with regards to cost in software asset management and with regards to license consumption and license risk or license compliance risk in software asset management. And by integrating these two areas, we will tell you immediately when you plan such a change, this is the projected cost and this is the projected license risk or change in license risk. Yeah. And this is a better together story because that is really very important to be aware of such risk and such cost that can happen here, because you want to be informed before you do such a change and not just finding out you're incompliant or you haven't budgeted the related licenses being affected by that change. And that way we have better together stories in different areas of Servicenow software asset management. Publisher packs, also one core strong functionality. Every publisher or the most of the publishers have their specific license metrics that they use to measure the license consumption and calculate the license consumption. Microsoft has specific ones, Oracle has specific ones, and also in the engineering application space, you have different license metrics. And we have included those also in our software asset management solution, and we're automatically applying those when calculating license consumption and license position. Yeah? And thus we can cover really the majority of the license metrics that we find out there, and you can even create your custom metrics if you like. Yeah? Also, automated reclamation of underutilized or unused licenses, just an example here. We can measure software usage, we can measure total usage time or last use date, and then apply the relevant workflows to identify rarely or not used software, and then automatically uninstall software that in this case from the related devices, the related computers. And by doing that, again, optimize the license position or being able to relocate such licenses to other users, reassign them. So just a few introductory slides. It's demo time now. Let's take a look at my demo environment. And we'll start with the engineering license overview dashboard. This is the OpenLM integration. This is where we see the OpenLM data. This is the outcome, the output. So you see what's your current spend, what are your potential savings, what are the top used products, top active users, top idle users. And if you want to need more here, if you want to see more here, if you want to know more, just click in one of the areas and you're getting one level deeper. And here we can, for example, find out what happened in the last 3 months. How has the spend changed in this area? And we can click any point in time, and then we can just click show records, and we can see which records, which products, which licenses, and which license positions are contributing to this data that we see up here, to this amount of money that we see up here in this, yeah, here 610K of spend. Yeah, so these are all the licenses, all the products that are contributing to this data that we see here. And if you want to know more, again, you can go deeper and deeper and deeper and find additional relevant information and additional details. Yeah, if we go to the license usage summary, as in this case, you see I have filtered by Autodesk as a publisher. We can see how many licenses are available, were available over the last 3 months, and then we can see how usage has changed over time. And down here, we can also see the related denials. Yeah? We can also see the license inventory here that contributes to this data. So this is inventory data, license data that has been reported by OpenLM into Servicenow. And if you're more interested into the denials, you can also have a look, take a look at the denial summary. Again, have different filtering options here, and then see your denials over time. And if you want to take a look at one of those denials, you can see, oh, that was this user, George Gray. On the 16th of December, he experienced 5 denials. So you could reach out to that user and find out how you could help him. Yes. So this is the data that we're importing and then analyzing and presenting you in the related reports. And in the background, of course, we have all the relevant licenses that we have discovered and imported from OpenLM by this direct integration. And what you also see here, we have a normalized publisher and a normalized product. So we're translating the feature names that come from OpenLM and have been managed there on the license servers into more readable names. So in this case, you see Autodesk, and then normalized product would be AutoCAD LT in this case, or Inventor Professional. So we're translating, we're normalizing that information, and we're also adding version information if it is available. And also we're telling you what quantity of licenses is available and what license type is it. And then you can add your entitlement data for these specific licenses that we have discovered. And then you can find out what's your spend, like we have seen on the dashboard, based on this data that's coming from OpenLM in combination with the entitlement data. And of course, you can also define reclamation rules in order to identify rarely or hardly used licenses. So for example, you see we have one here for Autodesk Inventor Professional. And we have defined that if throughout the last month, the number of licenses has not been used more than 60%, the remaining 40% will then be treated as reclaimable licenses, and we will identify the relevant users in that case, and you can initiate and run a workflow to reclaim such licenses automatically then. So this is the OpenLM, the engineering application integration. But of course, we have also the more classical or the more legacy SAM here. So the vendors like Microsoft, Oracle, IBM, VMware, Citrix, SAP, just to name a few of them, are also managed here. And then you see very similar types of data like expected true-up cost, over licensed amount, potential savings, actual savings year to date, or products out of compliance, and also life cycle data here for Microsoft, for example. So I can see I have...
Toto je to, pozri sa, oni to pekne, mi sa to páči, toto je Servicenow, je veľká platforma.
Okay, I thought that was a question. Sorry. So lifecycle data that is here for Microsoft. And then if you want to go deeper into the products out of compliance, just to show you how the actionable workflows can look like. If we take a look at project which is incompliant here, we have 2016 professional, we have 100 rights owned, 135 rights consumed, which makes it incompliant. And then we have the remediation options, and we can immediately see actionable workflows. So I could purchase additional rights from here. So if I click this link, I will see the 35 devices that could not get a license in this case, and I could create a purchase order for exactly those devices and then interact with the procurement area within ServiceNow. Or take a look at the removal candidates again that have been identified automatically, and I can now select these, one of them, all of them, and then I can just create removal candidates from here if I like. Or do further activities here, initiate the relevant workflows in order to automate the uninstallation, or just report that information to somebody else. So this is what we do here in this area. And again, normalized products, normalized versions, normalized editions, and we have seen the lifecycle data on the dashboard. So that's all very important and relevant data. And then another area, software as a service subscriptions. If we talk about Office 365 or maybe Salesforce, as you can see here, again, we have direct integrations with the relevant software vendors, with their vendor portals to import SaaS subscriptions and then find out what's your spend and also what's your optimization potential. So if we find here, for example, again, our Salesforce Cloud Enterprise, I could easily go into that area and then see what data is there in that software that we have identified here, and then what's the spend, what's the usage of these SaaS subscriptions that we have connected here and have imported here. So in this case, I just need to open the software model again, and I will see in the next step how the optimization potential can be used here. So by using this direct integration, we have found that we have 3,850 rights available there. All of them are assigned, but 577 of those rights have not been used, are stale rights. And then based on the purchasing information, the cost in the software entitlements, we have identified that we have savings potential here, underperforming spend, and we identify the relevant reclamation candidates. And you can again see here over time how this changes. And then we can reclaim those licenses also by using those automated workflows. So you see lots of different capabilities, everything starting with the comprehensive dashboards that give you very, very good overview, and then you can go deeper and find out more and then start automating workflows and reclaiming licenses, or just initiating other workflows that automate things. So this was just a brief overview, brief demo. If you want to know more, we're happy to give you a more extended demo. Just one use case or reference here, transportation organization who also used engineering applications have not been able to manage their cost appropriately because they had a lot of levers and the licenses were still there. They were not being reclaimed. So that ended up in quite a huge waste of money. And then after they purchased software asset management from ServiceNow, they reclaimed more than 19,000 current and former employee licenses for various apps and had savings around $200,000 in annual maintenance and additional savings by using these automated workflows. And why does it make sense to do this with ServiceNow? A lot of organizations already have ServiceNow and this common database and this common workflow capabilities in place. So in comparison to a point solution that does software asset management, with ServiceNow, you already have set the foundation. You already have in place what you need. So you get a much faster onboarding of the solution, and you can start gaining value very quickly. So getting to SAM value is a lot faster than with the point solutions that do software asset management. And we have all these capabilities that I just showed you. So that's it from me for the moment. I hope it was interesting. We're still here to answer questions.
Thank you very much, Volker. That was very interesting. And guys, again, if you have any questions, please use the chat box to ask any question, and Volker can answer either verbally or he can write the answer.
Absolutely.
Thank you very much. Okay, our next presentation is by Rostislav, which is a senior development in OpenLM. Rostislav will explain about how we integrate new license managers and the huge work they've done during the last year and a half. Rostislav, would you like to share your screen?
Thank you, Noah. Yes, give me a second, please. This is the one. Okay, I'm sharing my screen. Hello, my name is Rostislav. I work in OpenLM for like 6 or 7 years now. And I'm mostly responsible for one of the main projects I lead is OpenLM Broker. So if you ever have a problem with OpenLM Broker, now you know who to blame for it. So I would like to tell you about how do we integrate a lot of new license managers in OpenLM Broker, in OpenLM environment, we using OpenLM Broker, and why would we choose this approach? So let me shortly remind you what is OpenLM Broker and what it does. So when there is a license software execution, and when we mostly deal with floating licenses, so there's a network license server. So a licensed software has to connect to a license server in order to consume a license. And the license servers is keep tracking all multiple connections from various users and all the license software being executed. And next to the license server, there is OpenLM Broker component installed. It's installed on the same computer in order to be able to access all the information license server could provide, and it could also like monitor status of the license server, or control its execution, like starting, stopping it. So the main responsibility of the broker is to pull usage data from license server, and then the usage data is reported to OpenLM when it could be stored, like in historical perspective in the database, and then the data can be analyzed or viewed with various reports. And there's also an option when OpenLM server can query license servers remotely, but we are slowly moving away from this option, and I'll explain why. So one of the reasons is OpenLM Cloud solution. So if you're using OpenLM on premise, it's probably installed in the same network with license servers. But if you're using OpenLM Cloud doesn't have capability to connect to your network, because most networks for the companies are closed, and you'll need a broker anyway. And another reason we moving away from remote connection is we want to distribute OpenLM functionality to multiple components. And like on this slide, I want to demonstrate if you have a multiple license servers and each server has its own broker, and every broker is sending raw data like we always did for FlexLM, and we still do it. The raw data is sent to OpenLM server, and OpenLM server has to process all the data before it can store or make it available for analysis. And if you have quite a lot of servers, it increases resource usage of the OpenLM server significantly, because it's just a single central unit for all the license servers. So what we are doing now is we're distributing processing logic back to OpenLM Broker. This allows us to save CPU memory resources of OpenLM server. It can significantly reduce bandwidth, because in many cases, the raw data has a lot of extra information, which is transferred through the network, but it's never actually used. So early processing allows to avoid that. And of course, there could be a concern about OpenLM Broker using additional work
And of course, it's installed on a critical server, which is license server. But when it's distributed among multiple computers, it's a small amount of work and much slower resource consumption comparing to a single unit doing processing for entire, organization. So the next thing which allowed us to use this new approach is OpenLM generic protocol. So we have it for many years implemented in OpenLM server. So now when OpenLM broker has to get information from license server, it could extract only valuable data, valuable fields, and transfer the most important and compressed information to OpenLM server. So all the redundancy goes away. But more than that, OpenLM generic protocol allows vendors or users implement some tools and transfer information using OpenLM generic from license server using some toolkit to broker. And in this case, you can have integration of your own software with OpenLM without waiting for OpenLM to implement it on some stage. Another good reason to use the generic protocol is you don't actually need to, OpenLM server don't actually need to know what is the license server being used. So if we introduce a new integration on the broker, you only need a new version of OpenLM broker installed, and all your environments stay the same. You can use same version of OpenLM server. You can keep using older version of broker on other computers when you have to maintain multiple license servers. So it also makes it gives you an option to integrate with a new solution faster. So because sometimes upgrading entire environment is quite time consuming and resource consuming. So let's look closer into OpenLM generic protocol details. So in very basics, it's an XML, which is a file or it's a command line output. And it has all the primary information about licensing on a particular server. So name and port are where the server is physically located, like host name and network port consumed by the license server, because it's network licensing. There is always some port being used for connections. There is also like current time and the status, which is capable to reflect actual states of the license server. And if you detect some failure or if broker detects some failure, this field can transfer error message, and this error message can easily be seen in EasyAdmin UI, the primary user interface for OpenLM server. And next to the server tag of XML, there are information about licenses. So what is the application licenses for which are hosted on the license server, who is a vendor, who is publisher of this application, how many actually licenses you have available, and how many of them are in use by end users. And following beneath, each feature is application provides details about who is actually running an application or consuming a license. So sometimes it's same, sometimes it's a little different. So the main information we need is the name and workstation, and even the username is optional in some cases. License servers like only connected to a workstation, like there is software running in network when no user involved. So it's enough information for OpenLM to process. So that's something pretty simple you can implement in any language and integrate, and it also gives us flexibility to integrate a new license manager into broker. So I want to show you, like for this initiative, we always developed a license manager for all these years. We're trying to integrate with all possible on-prem servers for network and floating licenses. But during last year and a half, we implemented quite significant amount of integration, which is still smaller than all the integrations we had before, but we are getting closer to the list. And like, I'm sure in a year or maybe earlier, we will be like doubling from old list, which is like integration made before this initiative started. So now I would like to go through new integration to present like logos and explain a little bit what kind of software the vendors do. So maybe you can recognize one of the application and decide to use it with OpenLM. So one of them is a Spark Systems. They are well known for their enterprise architect software, which is UML design software. So as many others, they do their own floating license server. The next is Moldex 3D. They are produce different CAD and simulation software for plastic molding, injection molding. Zoo by Robert McNeil and Associate. So this company is well known for the Rhino tool, which is 3D modeling tool, which is a little special. It's different from standard triangulation approach. They use a mathematical curves, so it's quite popular tool. And because their other softwares are also named by different animals, they have this nice idea to name floating license server as Zoo, and we also integrate with it. Integraph Smart Cloud is a cloud license manager. So we already supported SPLM, Smart Plant License Manager by Integraph for many years. And now Integraph is moving to the cloud. So all the licensing and information happens on their web server, and they are also acquired by Hexagon PPM company. So I'm not quite sure if they host all, like serve all application in the cloud now, or just Integraph. But in general, like cloud is a common trend, and I'm sure they're going to serve more and more different software on their cloud. So the next one is Jetbrains, well known for developing software integrated development environment, IDE, for programmers. And they also have their own floating license server, which is on premise, and we integrate with it, but they're also having a cloud solution. And we are looking forward to integrate with the cloud solution in the nearest time too. Coscom is a German company producing computer-aided engineering software or computer-aided design and manufactures software. GeoWare is acquired by the Dassault System. They have their own license server and they host software for geological modeling and mining engineering. Script is well known for making After Effects plugin. So they even build their own online market for plugins, and they also monitor and do licensing with a floating server made by themselves. Petroleum Hardlock License Manager, or also known as PTEX. The petroleum experts also produce a CAD software for petroleum engineering and structural geology and other like software in oil industry. Tasking is another German company making software for embedded devices. Altiva software produce some toolkits for CAD, so which is not actually CAD, but some useful tools you can apply in your engineering process. Houdini is well known for 3D animation and modeling software. It's quite popular in movie industry. Innovise is making CAD and similar software for water engineering, like pipe modeling or sewer management, everything like related to water. Honeywell licensed their main Unisim Design Suite product, with a floating license server. It's a process design and simulation toolkit. Lloyd Register, doing a lot of software in oil and gas industry, marine industry, nuclear industries. They previously used some third-party license server, but recently they created their own solution and they moving all their software to the new license server, which is Limber. And after some time, all the software they produce going to be served by their own license server, and we also integrate with it. And the last one on the list is Venturis, known for FreeCAD-MS. I think it's some kind of plugin for MicroStation, and they also using their own license server, but integration is in progress, so this one is coming pretty soon with a closest broker update. So now I want to explain how do we approach to implementation, because it's something important, it's something we need and we appreciate your help for. So in order to know about some license manager, we need to get a request from a customer, and we greatly appreciate if you send us your request. And even if we know about a particular license server, your request to help us to prioritize task in development queue. So if multiple customer requesting integration with a particular server, it is given a higher priority, and there is a bigger chance for this integration to be released sooner. After we get initial request, we manage our priorities and get to development, we do initial analysis, which is sometimes more complex tasks than implementation itself. We need to learn a license server to see what is the capabilities, what are the protocols. Sometimes we can download a license server, but sometimes it's not available for public access, and we have to use help from OpenLM users to access the server to see how exactly the information can be pulled from it. And it's also great help from OpenLM users to move on with implementation. So the next steps is just implementation itself. And of course, even if you don't have an access to a license server, we still have a lot of simulation tools which help us to do quality assurance of the solution made. So it's not like something we give away like untested. We spend pretty much resources to make sure we deliver the best quality before we publish it. And after we finish with implementation and quality assurance, we do a better release. So the one which is better than nothing, but it shouldn't be scare you to try the better release. It doesn't mean it's malfunctioning or something. The only reason we call it beta is because there are pretty variants of same software between many users. So even if the integration worked for a couple of users, it doesn't mean it will work for everyone, because sometimes a vendor can release a new version or some configuration is pretty special, and we have adopted to all the special cases. But when this integration is published and released to users, if you notice every bug, it's considered to be a malfunction, and it's usually given a high priority to fix. And we really like, if we notice an issue with recently made a server, we do our best to release a fix as soon as possible with the next broker update. So let's look closer on what kind of information we're trying to get from a license server. So maybe you can look at your software and see if you're capable to provide this information. Because as I said before, it's takes a lot of time to analyze, but once we know how to get information from license server and where to look at implementation, doesn't take much time. So usually the first main source of the information is a usage snapshot. So it's a current state of your license server. It gives information about what kind of licenses or application are the server, how many how many licenses are actually available for consumption. And one of the main information here is who actually consuming licenses. And quite a good to have, but optional is a time when a user executes software. So when a user started something, they took a license, and this information is reflected in your license manager. So this is snapshot is a current state of license server. It comes in different formats, XML, JSON, plain text, and sometimes like maybe a database or somewhere else. And it's been accesses in various protocols like command line, a file, remote calls through HTTP, and not just HTTP. But this is like a pretty enough information for OpenLM to consume and give you valuable information for further analysis in future. And the second major resource of information is a log file. So some servers don't even provide a snapshot of current state, but they do provide log files. And the log file is quite a good resource to see what was the consumption on the timeline. So a user from particular computer took a license of a CAD, and then they released it on some time. So log file always come with timestamps, which helps us to organize events and session on a timeline in the database and get analysis. So that's something we are looking for. We are looking for your help to get this information from a particular license and help to deliver to help us to deliver you the solution quicker and in a short terms. So thank you. That's all I wanted to tell about broker and license manager we integrated. And if you have answer, feel free to post.
Thank you very much. That was very interesting. I'm sure people learned a lot. And again, as Rosisa said, if you if you have anything that you would like us to add to our portfolio, please contact us and work with us. We'll be happy to do so. Rosisa, would you mind stop sharing your screen?
Yeah. Hold on.
Thank you.
Cannot find my miss.
Presentation is by Abhijit, who was our support engineer. He's going to talk about special features of OpenLM to help you reduce the license cost. Abhijit?
Thanks, Noah. Hello, everyone. My name is Abhijit, and I'm the pre-sales and technical support engineer working with OpenLM now for almost 2 years now. Welcome all to this conference, and let me share my screen and the presentation. 1 moment. Okay. All right. So today one second. Okay. So today we're gonna discuss about OpenLM agent. A component of OpenLM agent, OpenLM core, which helps you to get extended functionalities on the end user workstation. So now, who is actually this end user? So basically, this end user is simply a humble engineer going about his day, designing different products which require the use of an engineering application, like for example, AutoCAD. So meaning this guy comes to the office in the morning, grab a cup of coffee, and then opens up the AutoCAD application to continue his work on new plane engine that he's designing, or maybe on a model. Now this can go in both ways. Either he gets a license, as there is a license available currently in License Manager, a floating license basically, then he simply starts his working day. Or he does not get the license, causing AutoCAD to prevent any further work to be done as there is no license available. So basically no money, no honey. That leaves us with an engineer fueled by coffee, ready to work, motivated in the morning, but without a license to work with. This is really bad for the company, as his hours are now being wasted, and also really bad for the engineer, as it delays, these kind of delays like cause him to fall behind on his work, and uh, it might lead to missing the deadlines, and generally cause a lot of unnecessary stress for this guy. So what can our engineer do in this case? Well, he can call up the license administrator of his organization and ask him to release some licenses for him. That sounds a bit easy, but is it? But if for this, for contacting his license admin, he has to have his contact details, his email address or phone number, or if they are in close time zone. It may happen that the license admin is working in a different time zone. So basically, you see, I'm going with this that this guy doesn't have a lot of influence on the proceedings. So the options are quite limited for him. So this whole order leaves this engineer frustrated with the application, which leads them to behave in certain ways and do certain things when confronted with the AutoCAD application. So what would you do in this case? Well, personally, if I talk about myself, I would grab a license and try to never put it back, which means that unknowingly I'll made a floating license into basically a named license with a poor utilization of a named license, because I know that the availability of this license is very limited. So why should I leave it for anyone else? So even though I'm not working on it, I have just grabbed a license and utilizing it maybe, but that actual utilization is very less. So this is a common occurrence that we have seen in many organizations, and it can be resolved in many ways by utilizing this OpenLM agent. So these are the different softwares that we can take, for example, like Product Design Suite, which is an Autodesk product, and Briscat and ZW3D and all. So how this agent, how is this agent deployed? If you see here in this slide, there is a OpenLM server on a central network server, and this OpenLM agent is a component installed on the end user workstation, which you see at my right hand side. So which allows the OpenLM for having a direct connection to the workstation itself. As you can see, all the agent transmit information to a central OpenLM server, which aggregates all the information and deposits it into the OpenLM database. Installation and setting up the agent requires simple click next installation process. But for many workstations, suppose it's a large organization, or even for mid-sized organizations as well, where you have 100 of machines or workstations, you can simply roll it out using SCCM or GPU or a silent script. So you don't have to manually go one by one on each PC and install this agent component. So the fact that OpenLM has a local component installed on the workstation allows for many benefits for the end user and admin alike. Communication flows in both ways. So this is why OpenLM uses agent for few extensions of OpenLM, like application manager, active agent, actual usage, custom commands, unmanaged process. So today we'll be focusing more on unmanaged process. Okay, so yeah, so what benefits the end user and the admin? So this interface that you see on the screen, what are the benefits? So in its base product, the OpenLM offers OpenLM agent, which holds the end user interface. Well, basically this interface is a scaled down version of the easy admin license servers window, where you get to see all the license servers which are configured or interfaced with OpenLM, its actual status and the real-time license consumption. So meaning that the engineer himself can see how many licenses are currently free for the application he needs, who is actually using the license they need, and for how long. So the engineer will be presented with this other end users contact details, so that you can simply call up the other user and ask him to close the application if he is not using it. So this this gives two benefits. First, one for the end user, one for the license admin. So what for the end user? For the end user, it will allow him to get more control and better informed about the license he needs, allowing for lower waiting time and higher availability. And secondly, the benefit is for the admin, which will have much less end users calling him for licenses as they are not able to get. And this will also see increased availability of licenses as a result of users sorting out the licenses, licensing matters among themselves. So overall, the productivity will increase, which is a main benefit of using this interface. So apart from this, there are few other benefits, like the admin get the IP of the workstations on the OpenLM report. Admin can see which workstations are running and connected to the network, which is here as mentioned as workstation status. Then of course, the end user can get notified when a license they got denied from checking out is now free, and they should now try and check out the license. So these are the benefits of this interface. Now, unmanaged process. What about the applications which are not using any license manager? What about the applications which simply require the user to log in and they get a named license? Meaning, what do we do with any license which is not floating, which may be a standalone or node lock? So this is why we have the unmanaged process extension, which basically uses OpenLM agent for monitoring the application process and transmitting their usage back to the OpenLM server. Meaning the application like, say for example, Adobe, Microsoft apps, Visual Studio, and anything from named Autodesk license to simple Notepad can indeed be monitored using OpenLM. Also, the reports of OpenLM can show data on applications which do not have floating license, providing the option to filter out the type required to view. So here you see there the two type of licenses mentioned. Like on the right hand side, you can see a floating license server where you have a license server with a license manager where you install or configure a license file. And as per the quantity of licenses that you have in that license file, the concurrent users can use the license. And then we have got license file, which is node lock, machine bound license. So there are certain limitations. So now unmanaged processes that we were talking about. So how can OpenLM stop the sessions without a license manager or a specific API? The OpenLM agent can simply interact with the application process itself and shut it down, meaning that the application process is simply killed. There is another option for admin to intervene with the session once it is idling for too long by running an automatic CMD script on the end user workstation. So once the application has not been used for a long time on a certain workstation, a CMD script will run and will do exactly as the admin defined. So that's how it works. Now let us talk about or discuss about the network named user reports. So the named license analysis report provides an overview of the license allocation and consumption of your named licenses. So this report has a number of benefits for administrator, as it allows to determine the real usage of an organization's named license, which can help with license planning and reducing the cost. So basically it helps you to forecast, have a proper forecast for the future of how much you require to, renew the subscription or renew the AMC for such NNU licenses. So after running the report and analyzing the results, the administrator or the management can decide whether to assign more users to NNU licenses or reduce the load of floating license or purchase additional licenses. So kind of what is the need to set up an NNU license? So you can see here, there's a license file with a user and host based where the quantity is mentioned. The second option is, of course, the option file where you can reserve certain set of licenses for certain group of users, or maybe for certain features, the reservation can be done, or certain specific users. So there are three types of views that you can choose from when displaying the results for these licenses. By allocation, which provides a high-level view of NNU licenses, displaying information such what kind of license are there, their total amount, and how many of them are in use. Well, particularly this view helps you to drill down to a specific feature and display the current status of the license allocation. Like you can see here that the available license, the total quantity, all those things are mentioned. Second view is usage. So by usage, which means that it provides a detailed view of an NNU license. You can see the information such as to whom the license is allocated to, the last time it was in use, and the duration of the usage. All those things you can see here. The third part is not in use. So this provides a detailed view of an NNU license which have been least used and not in use during a specific time period. So basically, this is the report which helps you to understand that these licenses you do not require to renew because you have never used it, or maybe you can get back to the user and ask them why you are not using them. We have paid for these licenses. If it is required, please use it. So, okay, now I'll come to Reporting Hub. Basically, we'll talk about OpenLM Reporting Hub. So what does it gives you? It gives you more reports, more aggregations, different dashboards, custom queries. For all those, we have the Reporting Hub. So it's highly flexible. So flexibility is the first thing that you get out of Reporting Hub. Personalized reports and dashboards, whatever you want, whatever the management wants, as per their requirement, you can create your own dashboard and reports. Then, of course, you have got more control over the data, so you can go deep insight into the license usage and flexible data structure. So, you can get all the interactive reports, infinite drill down possibilities as per your management need, and simply drag down. It's a simple drag down interface using a Power BI. And then, of course, flexible aggregation, calculated fields, and external integrations possible. So, how does it work? So basically, we are talking about a BI tool interfacing with an external database, and this external database itself is called the reporting database. Well, it holds the measure dimension structure, it holds all the OpenLM data, calculated fields, and it is ready-made. And how does it works? So OpenLM, we have an OpenLM server, and it has its own database, which can be in MySQL, Firebird, or MS SQL. And then on that, an ETL run each night to get all the information to a reporting database. Now, this reporting database can be MySQL, Postgres, or MS SQL. From that reporting database, you can use any business intelligence tool to read from the database. Well, normally we use Power BI. So this results in amazing graphs and dashboards that you can generate. You can choose any field, any measure, and create graph and dashboard and as per your choice and requirement. All these are updated automatically. So now let's take a look at what we get eventually. This is a Power. Let me share the screen. One moment. Okay, so this is a Power BI on my machine. You can see here we have got utilization statistics, session statistics, duration, denial, licenses not in use. So OpenLM has its own embedded reports, but apart from that, if you want more flexibility, more customizations, and because normally each organization has a different, normally they have a different requirement for the reports. So that flexibility you get with the reporting hub. So if you see here, we have got different reports like utilization statistics, session statistics, duration, denial, then license not in use. And apart from this, you can create your, of course, you can create your own report. So let us create a new one to understand the structure of reporting hub. So basically, if you look here on my right-hand side, we have got dimension and measure structure. In the dimension, let me create one quick report for you. So, okay. I create a table here. Okay. So on my right hand side, if you see, we have got dimension, like in dimension, you will have everything you have in OpenLM, like time-based aggregation, group-based, license-based. And these are all the dimensions OpenLM has. And going on measures, if we just scroll down a bit down, you will find idle duration, session duration, raw denial, license quantity, aggregation form, and all. So let's try to create a quick report here. So for example, if I want, let's take here username, and I want to see for all these users, I want to see their session duration. So in the measures, I will select session duration here, and just a drag and drop, and I get all the durations. And now I want to see which particular product the users have been using. So here I've got product name. So I'll simply select this and place it somewhat between username and session duration. So I can see the usernames, which product they have been using, and the session duration. So you can create, basically, it's really easy to create very complicated reports with all the information that you need using Reporting Hub. So as I said initially, it gives you high flexibility, more control of the data, and you can choose your own dashboard. You can create whatever reports you want. So that's it from my end, and thank you very much for listening, and you can post your queries in the chat. Thank you, Noah.
Thank you, Abjit, very much. It was very interesting, and I'm sure all our people learned a lot. Let me share my screen before we go to the last session, which is again our CEO, Mr. Oren Gamay. He will conclude this conference. Oren?
Yes, hello. Hello, everyone.
Can you please turn on your camera?
Sharing? Yeah.
Yeah, sure.
But you stopped it. It says, because your host stopped it, so I can't start it.
Let me see how, okay.
Okay. Start my video. Okay, hello everyone. Thank you for being with us. We appreciate it. I want to show you, to start and show you the results of our survey. Thank you for answering. So as you can see, most of the people won't be able to use our cloud, but some might consider it in the future. Yes, I see in the US, Microsoft Windows is very popular, most of the people, but yes, almost half use a hybrid environment, Windows, Linux, macOS. Next question about the special interface. So for the database configuration, so most people are fine with it, which is encouraging. And we also got few requests to support save and close for different applications, which is very encouraging. We are looking forward to work on that. I just want to say that MATLAB is fully supported already today, and we have a full solution. So whomever asks, it's fully supported, contact us. It's it's there. So I would like to quickly summarize. It's already quite late. I want to, you know what, instead of doing the normal summary, I want to refer to a question that came up just now and also in the previous session that we did for the European customer. As you know, some of our vendors, their engineering vendors, are changing licensing recently, mainly Autodesk. Many of you are using. Currently, Autodesk is offering two options. One, for very big customers, token flex licenses. OpenLM is already supporting that for 2 years, and we are doing a lot for this type of licensing, helping customers to stretch their licenses to their limit. We close session, we do a lot of things, which is very useful and works very well. The second is cloud-based named licenses. You go to the portal, you put the email, and you allocate licenses to people. It's not an efficient way to license software. Our customers, many of them contacted us, said that the price tripled for the same software they are using. But still, we want to be with you and help you to manage that. We can't do everything we did until now because it won't help to save and close when the license is named. But still, you can do a lot. You can see whether the person you allocated the license is actually consuming it from time to time. And if he does, whether he's actually using the license you allocated, is he using the right level of the software? And with all this, we can definitely help you and it will improve your utilization. So we are here with you, and also when other vendors you might be using change the licenses, we are here with you. We have been with you on the network licenses. We'll go with you on the cloud and anywhere else that your vendor might lead to. And I would like to thank everyone that presented here, and especially to our customers that came and been here today with us. Thank you for choosing OpenLM. We're here to serve you. Thank you. Thank you, Noah.
Thank you, everyone, for joining us, and for all the presenters who took time and present. We're looking forward to work together. If you have any questions, please contact us through our website or directly to sales at sales@OpenLM. And thank you, and have a wonderful day.
Thank you, everybody, for coming. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone. Bye.
Bye-bye.